What is up, Riftbounders? I'm back again with another VOD review, this time of a very interesting matchup I played against in the Thursday Night Fights weekly tournament. In this one, I'm playing Kaisa, and I'm facing against a Lux, who is piloted by a pretty good player, Sold Out, who normally plays Annie. But in this case, they did surprise me with a Lux pick, and I kind of got destroyed in this matchup, even though I feel like I should have won because there were so many times where my opponent had to play something very suboptimally, but I still lost. And that's why I'm going through this VOD and taking a look at what I could have done better. So I think the issue is going into this matchup, I had no idea how to play it. I don't know what Lux runs. I know that they probably run some time warps, but who knows what is truly in that deck. So starting off, opponent plays Aspirant's Climb. I'm on Reaver's Row, so I know it's going to be a rather long game. I start off with a handful of spells. I feel like I need the Time Warp because that's probably going to be important to get those final points. The Falling Star could be quite useful to kill the Lux in base, even though I'm pretty sure the Lux in base never comes out until after you Time Warp, so it's not like it does anything. And yeah, you'll notice that the cards are a little finicky right now. I think the board was lagging really hard, but you know what? I do get those two cards mulliganed, and I draw into two more spells. But lucky for me, I get build out turn one. I draw into a student, so I play the student. My opponent on their turn plays a faithful manufacturer and passes it back. Now I have student, I can play, I have no other units, so I'm kind of forced to play the Kaisa here. So I send student to aspirants, I play the Kaisa, and what is next? So my opponent, they're basically forced to trade if they want to go into aspirants, unless they have another spell. So they do trade the faithful manufacturer into the student, and then sends the recruit to Reavers. Now for me, I don't have a lot of units. They also play an obelisk of the blue obelisk that gives you a extra energy every time you tap it. So they don't really play any units here, and at this point I can go in for an almost free conquer. I go to 2, I draw a card, I got a watcher. I think in this matchup you really want units. The issue is with Lux, I'm pretty sure most of the deck is just filled with removal. So I play a sentry, and I don't really have anything to do except for yeah, I just play the sentry. What did I use the rune on? Oh, I stupefied a unit. Probably the recruit. Play the sentry, and I do not have any units up. I do have the Void Seeker in case my opponent goes into aspirants for a point. And let's take a look. I believe I do use it. I play the Void Seeker. I don't pay any power, which is great. And then my opponent plays the card that summons 4 recruits into any location you control. So now I'm facing 4 little dudes that could come in next turn. I go to 3. At this point, I feel like I could send my guys in. I could leave Kaisa in just to see if I could force like a trade or something. And I sent the sentry to aspirants. I got to get those points. And I actually placed a second sentry at aspirants just to see if I can trade out some more recruits. I don't think this is correct because now if my opponent has any sort of spells, to be honest, like what do they have? They could have like Singularity, which isn't the best. But yeah, I played the sentry to aspirants and then the Darius in base. Just to be safe, I leave one up. I don't really have anything playable. So they send in a what is that? The kill a unit, the very overcosted spell. So I think over here I kind of get punished for leaving the Kaisa in. I was thinking, yeah, if my opponent goes in with like maybe like a back-to-back or something, some weird yellow buff spell, I could probably just retreat Kaisa. But I actually got punished here because I got hit by a spell that hits battlefields, and they get Reavers. They send 2 recruits to kill sentries, which is fine. I get the sentries recycle themselves. So I think it's okay to play the sentry there just so I can get the card draw. But they still have enough recruits to get the aspirants. And here, I don't have too many units. I obviously have my Darius. I have my my Sentry and my Raven Bloom. So I can go in and out with Darius here and maybe try to clear the other recruit with a Hextech Ray. I send Darius in. My opponent plays 2 runes, Hidden Blades my Darius, which is unfortunate because now I can't get the point and I also can't clear out the recruit. And the Hidden Blade actually draws me into another Darius and a Stupefy, which is fine. So I start off with a Hextech Ray onto that recruit because I want to get rid of it anyway. I don't want my opponent to have units. And if I go in with like a Darius, it's just going to get pushed back by Reavers. So that's fine. I'm not going to spend any more power this turn. So using the Hextech Ray there is all A-okay. Send the Darius over here. Try to kill the last recruit. My Darius is 7. My opponent plays a Facebreaker, which I'm just like, I have not seen that card be used in any games I've played so far, which basically stuns both the recruit and my Darius. This means if I don't have any spells to kill the recruit, my Darius will get pushed back because it deals no damage because both units are stunned. And unfortunately, because I did Hextech Ray the other side, I cannot kill this recruit over here. So unfortunately for me, my Darius does get pushed back. I do not get the point. I also do not get the kill onto the unit. And at this point, I only have 2 runes up. I just play the Sentry because I want to cycle. The Raven Bloom isn't doing too much here because I don't really have anything I need to go over. My opponent doesn't have too many cards. And on my opponent's turn, they play a Seal into Yellow Darius, which has the Legion effect where it comes in ready. They take Reavers, and now they're at 5, and they play the Lux into the base. And then now I'm on my turn. I have a lot of runes here. There's a lot of options for me. I do want to get rid of the Lux and the Darius. The Lux mainly to prevent Timewarp shenanigans, and the Darius, I probably want to hit it with some spells so it can't just retreat. And it does buff up the recruits, so if my opponent plays more recruits, that will be a problem. So my play here is, obviously I send Darius in to get the point, and if I play any spells or whatever, or cards, I can send him right back. I hit the Darius Executioner with a double... Actually, what do I do? Oh, I hit Falling Star onto the Lux and the Darius, so that clears out that. And then that Darius has 3 health left. And what do I do here? Do I Stupefy, and I get another Falling Star, and I use that to clear out their last 2 units. I don't know what I was doing by only doing 3 damage on that Darius. I think the plan was I put 3 damage on the Darius, 3 damage on the Lux, and then next turn, my opponent's tapped out. They can't do anything. I can, like, if I don't hit anything good on the Stupefy, I can smokescreen the Darius to get the kill. But in this case, I did draw into another Falling Star, lucky me, and I clear out the Darius and the recruit. I go to 6 by sending my Sentry in. I play a Yordle, and I basically just flood the board in the back. And I guess at this point, I'm like playing around unchecked power. I don't really want to leave units on the field because if my opponent plays an unchecked power, I will get screwed. They also play into a Watcher. Unfortunately for them, they can only accelerate it into Reavers, and I don't lose any units, which is great for me. And back on my turn, I'm at 6. I believe I am 1 off of Timewarp. I'm at 9 runes, so it's not like I can end. But I can go to basically 8 and try to end there. So I play my own Watcher just for the body. I play it exhausted and base because there's no reason to send it in. And we'll send Darius to left side and Sentry to the other side. And I go to 8 and I leave 2 up. Why do I send these here? Let's see. I send... Why do I feel like it's... The Watcher goes down to 4. Okay, I see. I send Darius onto the left side because I guess I'm thinking my opponent would need to... It goes over by 1, but I don't actually know if that's correct because maybe I should just be sending the Sentry onto the left and then playing a cleave if my opponent doesn't retreat. I feel like that might be better. And then I can send my Darius onto the right and send him right back because I could play a cleave or a hopeful as my second spell, as my second card. Yeah, I'm not sure about this play. I send the Darius in and I send that to Aspirants. And I think the reasoning for why I send all my units to the right side is that next turn, if my opponent tries to conquer either side, I can smokescreen and kill the Watcher, so they can't get to 7, potentially, and then potentially Time Warp. So I think that's why I did this. I sent it in to prevent the Time Warp because I do have the smokescreen, which is fine. And then let's say I lose both. Let's say I lose both to unchecked power. Next turn, I'll just go in with the Watcher, and then I'll Time Warp for the win. So I think that was my reasoning here. So I do sack both sides, and my opponent, they do play the unchecked power. Okay, so they play the unchecked power. I get cleared, but that basically eats up their whole turn. Next turn, I just send the Watcher, and I Time Warp for the win. So game 1, I think I played that reasonably well. Obviously, I think there might have been some stuff I could have done better, but I think I don't see anything big issues with game 1. Game 2, we're both on Candlelit Sanctum, and my opponent is going first. Or, no, yeah, my opponent is going first, and I don't have a Hextech Ray, so they do get the free point onto the Soaring Scout. Let me just take a look at what I mulliganed here. So, maybe, because I'm pretty sure I lost this game too, so I think there was something wrong with my mulligan. So I Student, Catherine Rain, Darius, and Time Warp. So I think Time Warp is definitely worth keeping in this matchup. Catherine Rain is okay, given the fact that I know my opponent has a lot of tokens. They could swarm, so maybe it's worth. Darius is really good because you need the body, and I need the student for turn 1. So I think I actually keep my hand here. I draw into a cleave, I play the student. My opponent plays the Soaring Scout and goes into Candlelit. And the issue with double Candlelit is that both players will essentially get their perfect sort of hand because you're recycling so many useless cards off the top of your deck. And they play what is it, a Sentry, leaving how many runes do they have up? Leaving no runes up. So basically I can get the free Scout here. I can also choose to accelerate Kaisa into the other one and see if I want to just get the point. I don't have any way to protect the Kaisa, so if I do send the Kaisa in, it leaves me very vulnerable. I look at the next two, I have Void Seeker and I have Falling Star. I actually keep the Falling Star, which I think is a mistake here, because I'm thinking, okay, Falling Star will help me kill my opponent's units, but they don't really have that many units. I also have the Cathian Rain, so there's no reason to keep the Falling Star. I think that was a big mistake. I needed like to dig for more Dariuses, more Yordles, just units, I think, because Lux is like, from what I remember playing, is like their deck is full of spells that will kill your guys. So you want to get as many units, and you'll just eventually outvalue them, I'm pretty sure. So I play the Kaisa accelerated because I'm thinking, okay, I probably won't be able to save the Kaisa. And like if I leave it in base, it could also, there's a potential that it could get killed by Singularity, I guess. So I do send it in just to make sure that it's hard for my opponent to get points as well. And I draw into the Falling Star, which it's the mistake from last turn where I thought I needed it. And I get Hopeful and I get Stupefy. Honestly, both of these are not too bad. Honestly, I would get rid of the Stupefy, maybe keep the Hopeful here, given my post-game knowledge. And I do keep the Hopeful, which makes sense because I need the units. My opponent is at 7. They play a, what do they play? They play Unchecked Power, killing off both my guys. And what's my student? Yeah, my student was I could not have brought it back. So I get Unchecked Powered. That's fine because now I just get to play. I draw into a, what do I draw into? I draw into the Hopeful that I placed at the top of my deck. This is good because I can just play Yordle into a Hopeful and rebuild my base and draw into a Stupefy. I actually don't even play the Hopeful. I play Yordle, draw into a Yordle, and I play the other Yordle. I think the reasoning here is that none of my opponent's units are that big, so I don't really need the Hopeful just now. I might prefer just looking at more cards, and that way I don't leave one rune up for nothing, or I'd be forced to sort of Stupefy my own unit or my opponent's unit for a draw. So my opponent sends Sentry in. They go to 2. They play a Call the Weak, which forces me to kill one of my Yordles. And then they play the card that summons for recruits. And now I'm thinking, okay, the Falling Star here is not great value. I only kill 2 1-drops. And Cathian Rain also feels kind of bad because I'm not getting anything else. I do send the Yordle in, and I see I get 2 units. Honestly, yeah, I think I recycled the Student, which is fine, and I keep the Darius. Do I? No, 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 no. This is bad. This is bad. Okay, this is a mistake I made in game 2. I should not have thrown away the Darius. I should have kept the Darius. The reason I threw it away was because I was thinking, okay, I got Darius, I got Retreat. I don't need a second Darius because I essentially have 2 Dariuses in hand. And if I grab that Darius, I'll have 3 Darius, which could be overkill. But that's not actually true for this matchup because I need units. Because what you'll see here is I'm going to play the Darius down, play the Hopeful. I go in again and to go to 4, which is fine. My opponent is going to have a harder time to conquer, and you'll notice that the board is pretty laggy here. We have Sentry and Portal. I honestly think Sentry might not even be that bad, just because it recycles itself and it is a unit on the field. So, because realistically, what do I want here? Like, Watcher doesn't really do anything. I think Darius is probably the best unit to get. So, recycling that Darius earlier was absolutely horrendous. Sentry is okay because it recycles itself and it's also a body. And you'll see why I think Sentry is super important here, because I mean on this turn it's fine because I just retreat my Darius. I can play him again. Next turn my opponent gets a Conqueror. They get a second Conqueror with a, how do they get this? Oh yeah, because it's they Watchered, so they can clear that. And now we're both at 4. And okay, so on my turn I have a lot of runes. Their Watcher is in base, which kind of sucks. I can't hit it, but I do have the Acathian Rain. So I think on this turn, I Stupefy the Watcher just to draw a card. I draw into a Falling Star, which is absolutely useless here. I mean, realistically, instead of playing Acathian Rain, I could double Falling Star, but that, honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. So I play the Rain, I clear the board, and we're back to a neutral state. My opponent plays the Lux and passes. They literally play the Lux and pass. And because of that, I play the Falling Star onto the Lux to kill it because I'm scared of Time Warp. And then I play the Darius straight in, which could be a misplay because if my opponent has anything that kills things at battlefields, as we saw in the previous turn, I lose the Darius. And I take a look at the top 2. I go to 5. Time Warp is pretty good here, just because I would like... We're basically in the late game, and I'll always be able to Time Warp every turn. So getting the Time Warp is good. But the issue is I need a unit for the Time Warp to be useful. Because right now, they hit me with the spell. I cannot get the Time Warp. So next turn, like if I Time Warp, I don't get any points, but I do draw a card. I think if I played the Darius in base, I could potentially... So I would go... I wouldn't be at 5, I'd be at 4. And then I would send the Darius in, go to 5, Time Warp for 6, go out, Time Warp again. I think if I just played it safe, played Darius in base, I could potentially win the game in the next few turns, because I could back-to-back Time Warp. And my opponent plays everything. They send in a Darius, their own Darius, which is the one over there. I mean, at this point, I have no units. I'm kind of forced to Time Warp just to see what I hit. I draw into a Sentry. I think that... I don't know if I needed to Time Warp here. I feel like maybe I should have just Falling Starred the Darius and passed, because both of us are running really dry on units. I do hit the Darius with the Falling Star. The Hidden Blade gets revealed. My opponent draws 2 cards, and now they have a crazy card advantage. And I think at this point, I just lose the game, because I have no units, and my opponent has more cards and runes than me. And this is the turn where, because they're so ahead, they spend 6 runes to play a Singularity on my 1 Sentry. And I'm pretty sure they're supposed to draw a card. Did they forget to draw? I think they might have forgotten to draw. But it doesn't even matter because I literally have nothing. I can play a Hopeful this turn. And do I? And I do Falling Star. Yeah, I Falling Star their base. I play a Hopeful. My Hopeful gets called a Weaked. And now we're back at a state where nobody has any cards. And yeah, I guess if I played the Darius in base, I could have gotten it called. So I think at this point, it was just a issue with how I was recycling my cards. Because recycling that other Darius I had, I think that probably was the major reason that I lost this game. And then they accelerate with the Watcher in, and I have nothing. I have a Poro and a Time Warp. I Time Warp to see what I get. I draw into a Raven Bloom, and that is it. That's it for game two. I mean, I go in with the I don't lose yet, but I go in with the student and the smokescreen on my turn to try to kill the Watcher. It gets bounced back because that is not a, what card is that? That is a face breaker. So I think in this case, given the, I mean, because I think it's an issue because I not very familiar with what kind of cards my opponent has. If I assume that it could have been a face breaker, I would have had to send the Poro and the student. That way, if I get face breakered, I can cleave onto the Poro or maybe smokescreen the Watcher again for the Conquer. But yeah, because I get face breakered, my student gets bounced back. I do get to send in the Darius, but my opponent plays the Killa unit. So I think the outcome might have been the same if I sent the Poro with the cleave. But at least if my opponent kills that, I have the Darius, and they also have to recycle. I mean, at this point, recycling isn't that important. But yeah, my last option is Poro into Smokescreen, I guess. I don't know if, oh no, Poro into Cleave. Yeah, and I get the right side, but I'm pretty sure at this point my opponent just has enough tools to win the game because what did they play? They play Singularity, and there it is. They get both battlefields and they win. So yeah, game two, I believe it was just an issue with how I recycled the units. Game three, I am playing Arena's Greatest, and my opponent's playing Trifarian War Camp. I start off with the Cathian Rain, Time Warp, Falling Star, and Yordle. I feel like, based on my knowledge from the past few games, I should have mulliganed maybe like the Falling Star and the Yordle maybe, because if I'm going first, I probably want a 2-drop, and the Yordle's not that useful. And the Falling Star is honestly not that great. I think it's good to kill the Lux. It's good to kill the Darius. But against the recruits, it's kind of a waste. So let's see. What do I get rid of here? I got rid of the Yordle and the Time Warp. I think that is a big mistake. I think if I had the Time Warp in this game, I actually could have won, looking back. So lucky for me, I do get some 2-drops. I get a Portal, a Poro, and a Sentry. And you're gonna notice that the Falling Star and the Cathian Rain are pretty much dead cards for this game. Like, I much would rather have the Time Warp. So I play the Poro down, my opponent plays the Glory. No, that's the Faithful Manufacturer. I think the Falling Star here onto the Faithful is not bad. So I get a first point, and I play the Kaisa, which, now that I'm thinking about it, it's not like, it's okay because I can use the Kaisa to clear something, but I think Sentry into Falling Star here might not actually be bad, just to prevent my opponent from getting points. Because what does my opponent do? They go to 5. They send in the Faithful to trade. That's fine. They get 1 on the Sentry. And now they play a Seal. And they play a Call the Weak. Yeah. So I got punished here by playing Kaisa turn 2 because I know my opponent has a lot of cheap removals that can kill in base. If I just played the Sentry and played the Falling Star, I would have denied my opponent basically I would have denied them their second point, so they would be at 1. And their Call the Weak would not be able to hit my Kaisa because I would have the Sentry in base. So I could basically play the Sentry, the Kaisa the next turn and make sure that she's safe from any sort of weird spells like Call the Weak. And you'll notice if I just didn't play the Kaisa, I would have had a retreat the next turn. And then if I let's say I accelerated Kaisa this turn, I would have the retreat to protect her and not lose my Kaisa that early. So I think in this very specific case, playing Kaisa on turn 2 was incorrect because I had a better play. And I also didn't have any retreat. Like, I could wait until I have a retreat before playing Kaisa just to make sure that I can get those consistent draws. Because Unit, I think in this matchup, like, this is very sad. I play a sentry on turn 3, leaving 4 up to do almost nothing. Where, yeah, and I'm pretty sure at this point I just lose so much value because my opponent plays the Vanguard thing and gets 4 recruits. I have 1 guy, and I mean, like, at this point, it's like, oh, I could Acathian Rain here, and I have to because there's nothing else for me to do with all my runes. I go in for my 3rd point. My opponent keeps playing down the obelisks, so they're like technically pretty far behind. Oh, maybe they don't. Um, they played the Soaring Scout. They just play a Soaring Scout instead. And where did that Singularity go? And yeah, they Singularity my one sentry. So I think, yeah, if I had the retreat here, that Singularity would have came down onto my Kaisa later, and I would have just been able to retreat it, no problem. So yeah, playing that Kaisa turn 2 really screwed me over this game. I do draw into some units, thankfully. I get Yordle and I get a Hopeful. And I believe I play both of them down because now the threat of Singularity should be less since my opponent just played it. They go to 3, and what do I do? They kill off. Do they kill off one of my units? I think they might play a Call of the Week here. Yeah. Let's see. Yep, they play a Call of the Week, kills off the Yordle, and back to me. And now, I mean, at this point, I really have nothing. My opponent has no units on board, so all these spells are useless. This is why I think the Falling Star, keeping it in the beginning, was horrible, terrible. Don't do that. I send my Hopeful in, and I do retreat it because I need to keep. If I don't retreat it, I lose all my units, and then I play a Student, or I play the Hopeful again, and I don't even play the Student because why do I not? Because next turn I don't need to go to 5. I'm okay with just going to 4. And if I play the Student, I could get Singularity'd. And then my opponent plays the Summon the Recruits again. I go in with the Hopeful. And I draw into a Darius. What did I... Yeah. What did I play that costs 2? Oh, I play a Falling Star to kill 2, 2 recruits, which is pretty bad value. But I mean, at this point, like, I have so many runes that it's okay to recycle. And I do this again, and I feel like at this point I should have just Falling Starred the last 2 recruits. I think this was another misplay because what is my opponent going to do? I guess I'm thinking to save it for Darius, but if a Darius comes in, I can just smokescreen it. So I think on the previous turn it was probably correct to double Falling Star to clear my opponent's board just to prevent them from getting points. But I guess the other good thing is because I saved the Falling Star, I have something for their Lux. But it doesn't even matter because they play the Lux into Timewarp. So it's not like I could even Falling Star the Lux. Because the Lux will get them the value on their, like, regardless. Because I can't interact with the Lux in base on their turn. So they Timewarp into Lux. And they still have a lot of runes up. They could Timewarp again and again. 3 Timewarps, I think, pretty much wins them the game here. And yeah, so they just fortify. They do Time Warp again. So that's the second Time Warp this turn. They go to 6. And then now what? They play... Oh. They play a kill a unit. So Noxus Hopeful dies. Back, they go to 7. And at this point, I'm pretty sure I lose the next turn. Because I needed to clear both. So they play a card, probably Hidden Blade. And back to my turn. So my opponent basically took 3 turns in a row. I'm at 4. At this point, it's like, okay, I can... If that is a Hidden Blade, I probably want to Falling Star the Recruit and the Lux in base. The other option is if it's a Face Breaker, yeah, I think the play here is you Falling Star the Recruit and the Lux in base. And then I do play the Darius first and the second Darius because I want to make sure that both Dariuses are ready. If I played the Falling Star, then only one Darius could be ready. So I do play 2 Dariuses. And wait, why do I send the Student in? What did I do? Why do I not Falling Star? Was I greeting? I think I was greeting because the thing is, my thought process here is I send the student in. If it gets if my opponent plays a hidden blade to kill their unit, I could falling star the 2 units in their base, and then I can clear out the whole board in 1 turn. But if they have a face breaker, they stun the student. I could still go in next turn with the Darius. So let's see, what do they have? I go in and they flip. It's a face breaker. The student does not kill. It goes back into my base. And now I send in the Darius. And my opponent uses the last 4 to play a kill spell. And yeah, now I lose because I guess I could still falling star their 2 units on both battlefields. So I send my Darius in again, and I cleared the left side, and I falling star the Lux and the Recruit. So they still have 1 unit in base, and I think the next turn I just lose because they play a card and then they play their own Darius, and that should win. So they go to the right side, and they play 2 to call the weak, which kills my student and their recruit. I don't know. Oh yeah, they play Call the Weak to trigger their Darius, and their Darius is 6 to my 5, and I lose there. So yeah, that was definitely a game. I gotta say, after losing that, I understand that it was probably a skill diff between me and a better player, but I feel like given my first 2 games, I should not have lost the last game because I think I should have been able to understand the matchup, but clearly I didn't. I made a lot of mistakes. I think another thing is I needed to sideboard in a few more units and take out some spells because a lot of those spells were pretty useless in the end. So I think that was a big difference maker for this game. So overall summary, I would say that if you're playing against Lux, you want to go unit heavy. You don't want a lot of removal spells if you're playing Kaisa. And I guess definitely keep the Time Warps because I think this game would have gone a lot differently if I kept the Time Warp in hand rather than having an extra Falling Star. And then there was that 1 turn where I could have cleared out my opponent's board with the Falling Stars because we had so many runes. It wouldn't have mattered if I recycled an extra 2. So I think those small mini decisions built up to a big loss against a Lux Rogue deck. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this best of 3. Hope you learned something. And yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching.